It feels great. It feels kind of legit all of a sudden. I feel like this last year has just been like, things are starting to feel a lot more real, and I think this has definitely amplified that feeling of like, okay, we're doing the thing. There's no going back now. There's no choosing another career now. We're stuck. I'm kidding. I mean, that's literally nuts. I think that country music is something that brings people together, and I think that CMA Fest is a perfect example of that. I mean, it's definitely like where home is, it's where the heart is, and I think that all these people gathering together to watch, even like up-and-comers like me, I think is so special for sure. It's really funny because a lot of people ask me that question, and I feel like I think that I was here for about a year, a little under a year, and then it was summertime, and I went home to Virginia Beach for the first time since I had left. And I spent about 2 weeks there, and I remember packing my entire closet, and I was like, I'm not gonna care about what people think, the fact that I'm wearing maxi skirts and walking around barefoot my whole life, like, I'm just gonna do me in Nashville and like hope people like it. And I remember bringing my whole closet to Nashville after I left Virginia, and that was kind of when I was like, that part of me, that's like the Virginia, that's the coastal, it's that whole area like where I came from. I think going back for the first time, because you can come here and you can kind of get caught up in what everybody else is doing, and there's definitely a Nashville like morph that you kind of morph into as an artist, I think. So going home and then coming back is definitely when I realized like, this is my sound, this is who I am, this is how I dress, you know, how I treat people will never change. Like I think that was definitely reassuring to me as far as like who I am as an artist and what I want to sound like. So Dolly actually is kind of where I was introduced to old country western music for the first time, because my grandfather is like my best friend in the entire world, and he calls me Dolly. It's why I have the Dolly tattoo. So he's always called me Dolly, and I call him Johnny for Johnny Cash. So he's always like, hey Dolly, I'm like, hey Johnny. And that's kind of our inside joke. And he would always be playing Willie's Roadhouse in the car. So it's like the old country western music's playing. That's how I learned about that whole world, was through my grandfather. So Dolly has just always been like a symbol as far as my relationship with him, and just like being an old soul and understanding that her music is a lot more than just something to idolize, but it's something to really try to learn from and understand why what she does works so well. So it's a lot deeper of a, thought process rather than just, oh, it's Dolly, like I love her. It's a lot deeper than that, I think. So it's pretty cool. So Dear Dolly was actually written, I was 17. I was in my FJ Cruiser in Virginia Beach. I was driving over the Lesnar Bridge, and I was looking out at the water, and it was late at night. And this was a time period where family life was really rocky and things were just really difficult. I was 17 years old, so just didn't really have like a stable home base, and just kind of, being with friends all the time, staying at friends' houses. And I remember I was leaving one friend's house and I was going to another, and I was just sitting in my car thinking like, it's very hard to believe in a higher power when you just feel like you've been hit bus after bus after bus throughout my childhood. So I'd always been raised Christian, but this was the first time where I was like, is God real? And so I started singing to somebody I knew existed in my car, and I just hit record on my phone and started singing Dear Dolly. And that's how that song was created, so it's kind of cool. I'm not sure. I've heard some people say that her sister has heard it, and I mean, she's been tagged, like, I can't even imagine how many times. I'm kind of like, she's had to have seen it, but I'm not sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, I take meetings with people and they ask me, like, are you just country? Are you a little bit of folk? Are you a little bit singer-songwriter? And I always joke and say I'm just a girl. Like, I really think right now is a beautiful time period for artists because we don't have to be fitting into any certain box. And I also think, like, social media is a big reason for that, because you're being able to amplify who you are, however you are, in front of X amount of people, with the click of a button. So I think that definitely has something to do with it. But I also think that there are a lot of cons to social media, but I think that one of the biggest pros is that people are really able to be their true selves if they want to. And I've seen it be accepted over and over again. So I think that's a really beautiful thing and all. I think that as a female, I would say there are definitely still some barriers to be broken. I think a lot of my peers that are female would say the same thing. It's a harder industry to be in as a female. You're having to jump over some obstacles that maybe men aren't having to jump over. But, they have their own obstacles too. It's totally different. But I think there are definitely some stigmas that can be broken still, but I definitely think that just takes time, and it just takes more and more females stepping up to the plate and being who they are and being empowering towards other women. And I think that over time will create definitely a more, I don't want to say equal, because it really is. I do feel very welcome here. And I never feel like an outcast because I am a female, but that might also have to just do with who I am. It's never really been something to bother me or hold me back. So I think as long as we have females in this industry that think that way, then I think we'll be fine.